Tea with T cells. This is Marta.
I am Shafka. Tea with T cells.
Did you know that a molecule found in green tea has been shown to disaggregate the protein related to Alzheimer's disease?
Wow, that's really interesting. Is that from a recent publication somewhere?
It's been published in 2022 in Nature, so it's relatively recent.
Wow. And is that like an in vitro study or is it an in vivo study?
It's in vitro study. It's in vitro, yes.
Oh, that's interesting. So do you have any ideas about how exactly it works?
So it apparently disaggregates the tau and other amyloid fibrils. The discovery of this mechanism led scientists to explore more molecules that could potentially disaggregate proteins related to Alzheimer's disease. So it's a wonderful study to have.
Oh, excellent. But drinking green tea is not going to get rid of Alzheimer's, right?
No, we're not saying that it's going to get rid of Alzheimer's, but this is another reason to drink your green tea.
Excellent.
Today, we are going to do an interview.
Yes, and today we are interviewing Marta. So, Marta, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks as well.
We had a good summer and we recorded this podcast for the third time, so hopefully we're going to be third time lucky.
Yeah, beginner's problems.
Exactly, but we get in there, so stay tuned.
Cool, so let's get started and let's start at the very beginning. Where did your science story begin? Were you always the science nerd in school, or how did you get into this journey that you're on?
So, since I was a child, I was really interested in biology, in nature, in everything. And from the very beginning, I had the desire to study medicine. So that's why I went into college with extended biology, chemistry, and a bit of physics. And I was really thinking that I would go into medicine. However, there were a lot of things that detoured me from my path. And one of them was the fact that I didn't have very supportive environment and I was living in a very, toxic environment, to the point that I quickly realized that I just didn't have enough resources and energy and time to do that. I got interested during my college years. I got really interested in dietetics and overall biology. So for a very long time, I thought that I would be going into dietetics because I was very into sports, and I also thought that maybe sports nutrition and so on was something that I could do. So yeah, that's how it started. Obviously, we all know that I ended up in a very different place right now. However, the passion from the childhood, I think it's still with me. I'm still really interested in medicine. I'm still really interested in dietetics, and I think that the biology itself, the combination of everything, was just an answer.
Did you feel, because I definitely had this feeling, right? When I was about to leave school, my biology teacher, because I was really good at biology, and he came to me and he asked, so what do you want to do when you leave school? And I was like, I think I want to go study medicine. And he said, why do you want to do medicine? And I was like, I like biology. And he's like, well, biology and medicine are not the same thing. So did you feel like that you actually didn't know what science was when you left school?
Absolutely. I think that in my country, whenever you do any science-related degree, you can either go into medicine, which is obviously the most prestigious thing to do. And at that age, I think also with your family telling you that this is the thing you should do, I thought that is the only option. But later on, when I was in a college, I explored other options. Obviously, they were still limited in comparison to what we have here in the UK, because I could do, for instance, dietetics, I could do cosmetology, pharmacy, biotechnology. But I remember looking at the list from the university, it was really limited. So I thought, okay, this wasn't what I really wanted. There was a pure biology, but anytime I mentioned, I would like to study biology, everybody would be like, well, you will end up just being a secondary school teacher because there is no other job after that.
Yeah.
So I never even considered going into pure biology in my country. But I ended up doing that because at some point during my college years, I had a really big desire to study abroad. And the passion came from the fact that I went abroad a few times as a child, and as somebody that comes from small city, we didn't have the contact with different cultures. So when I went abroad and I saw different people, different cultures, different languages, I just fell in love with it. And I think that was my desire, just to learn more about different cultures. And the decision was about the UK simply because I was studying English for a very long time, and it's just basically the language you have to speak as a second language when you're from Poland. So I just put all the effort into learning English very well, and I was 100% sure I would go to study in England straight away after my degree, just because when we had somebody from the company that helped people to university abroad, when he told us about all different opportunities, all different options, what you can study, like I even heard that you could study photography or international wildlife biology, which was also one of my options that
I wanted to do that as well.
This would be so wonderful. I remember I think that was the first or the second year of my college, and I was just looking at this degree thinking, oh my God, I could work with lions.
Yeah, I remember. So after I had this conversation with my teacher, he then introduced me to the idea of science. And then my second idea was, well, I can just work with animals, in the safari. And I went and told my dad. Dad was like, what are you thinking? I was like, I want to be like a wildlife person, like photographer. And he was just like, is that a real career?
This is so wrong. It is a real career. And like, funny enough, when I was younger, well, I'm still very, very interested in photography, but I was doing much more about photography when I was younger and had a bit more time. And, for me, going into photography, wildlife biology would be like a wonderful option. But obviously, the amount of options can make you really overwhelmed as well. So, yeah, so I struggled with decision later on as well.
Okay, so let's delve a little bit deeper into that. So you mentioned that you're from Poland, so you started this journey in Poland, and you mentioned that you've ended up here in the UK now, you're doing a PhD. So you started your degree. How did this journey take place? What happened next? How did you travel?
So when I was doing my 3 years, we call it Liceum, which is equivalent, I think, of college high school here in the UK.
Right.
Those are the 3 years, which you basically go into finish with the final exams, something like A-levels. So
and what age would you be roughly when you finished that?
We were 19.
Okay, yeah.
19,
so it's A-levels. Yeah, yes. I guess it's similar to that.
So I remember I went to like the best school in a city, which was obviously very competitive, and it was just basically a rat race. And I didn't enjoy it at all. Like, I loved the fact that I was learning a lot about biology, chemistry, but the environment was very toxic. So this was one thing that definitely didn't help. Also, the environment at home was very toxic. So my deepest desire at that age, when I was like already 16, 17, was just to leave. And I knew I couldn't rely on others to help me with that. And I knew that whenever I go either work after the school or or go to study, I needed to support myself financially and mentally, call it this way. So when I was thinking about studying in Poland, it just doesn't synchronize with me too much. First of all, as I've mentioned, the options weren't there. Like, yes, there was a dietetics, I could do that, but I felt that it was not 100% what I wanted. I wanted something more. And I thought when studying abroad, like in England, I could work part-time and study full-time still. This seemed like more reasonable option, because one of the differences in education here in my country is that in my country you have many more hours in a week. So it is very...
During your actual course.
And very often if you're doing something related to medicine, which dietetics would be at medical university, you would need to have very often unpaid work during the summer just to get the practice. So I didn't see it as a possible option in the long term because I just didn't have money at that point. So I remember that I put all the effort into studying English, and I tried my best to pass all the exams as best as I could. And the moment I finished my college with a really good marks, I just left the country and I just thought, that's it. I had enough. I just needed to rely on myself at that point. I applied for universities in the UK at that point, and I was in the process of choosing the universities. That was 2017. But I left to the UK for 2 months initially to work, and was very unlucky because the first place I lived in the UK was very toxic as well. I remember this woman that I lived with was absolutely crazy to the point that I just couldn't deal with it mentally. So I came back to Poland. I also was there with my previous boyfriend, really didn't like the UK. He wanted to come back as well. And obviously I thought, okay, we both feel the same thing about that. Let's just come back and try university in Poland. So I started university in Poland. I studied for a very short time. That was an interesting thing because deep inside I knew that I wanted this adventure. I wanted to go abroad. I wanted to explore, like study in a different language, because I'm very interested in linguistics as well. And after a couple of weeks at the university in Poland, I started getting really depressed. That's something that I have never experienced to this extent, because I just really understood how people with depression feel, because I couldn't get up from bed. I was ill constantly sad, and things were just not going right. So I knew that was my body calling for a change. So at that point in my life, when you think about it, I had pretty much everything. I was studying in Poland. I had a lovely flat in a very beautiful city. I had a partner. Our families knew each other. Our families loved each other. And I had pretty much fixed life, because after the uni, you get a job, you have a family whatsoever. I just didn't want that. And I knew that the decision, because nobody was there to actually support me except from my close friend, I just had to listen to my body. And I remember that in December, I was just having this conversation with my previous partner, saying that I actually feel this way. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think that I can't stay here in Poland. And because I just had to put myself first, which was very controversial because my family didn't like it. Nobody liked the idea. On January the 1st, 2018.
New Year's resolution.
Well, I bought myself a ticket to Spain. I left the university and I left to Spain to work as an au pair. Bear in mind, I found this family online on a website that, when I think about it right now,
wow,
they could be any people. But I found this family on the internet, and this was apparently a reputable website for au pairs. We had
when you say apparently, apparently now or apparently back then?
Look, I didn't. The thing is that I made several decisions in my life that they were probably very stupid, because I was very, I trusted people, and I was very lucky. I was just very lucky, because when I think about it now, obviously meeting people online only and going, sending all your stuff there, because that's what I did. I bought myself a ticket to Spain. I didn't even take my luggage with me. I just sent the parcel with my stuff to their place. I just took a backpack and I went. So
wow.
this was my answer for all the depression, not depression, because I never been diagnosed with anything, but definitely the low mood, the fact that I just didn't want to be there, that I knew that I was following somebody else's dream. So because nobody was there to support me, one day I was like, I'm going, and I went, and repeat it again. I was very lucky. But I remember, because that was my first time in Spain, my host father was picking me up from the airport. And I remember when he said hello to me. In Spain, obviously, they give you a kiss in the cheek, right? When he did that to me, I was so terrified, because I was sitting in the car with him later on thinking, oh my God, he's crazy. Where is he taking me?
And this was your first time in Spain?
This was my first time in Spain, first time traveling properly on my own. And at that point I spoke no language, but I knew that there are ways to learn language fast, because I was following the psychologist that talks a lot about the psychology of learning languages fast. I started that job for a couple of months, and I must admit that this was one of the biggest breakthroughs in my life. The fact that they just took me, they treated me like a family member. I was very much welcomed, and they kind of even helped me to later learn Spanish.
So how did you communicate with them in the initial?
Oh, they spoke English.
They spoke English. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
okay.
spoke English. They spoke English really well. But obviously, I had a couple of months of learning Spanish quite intensely, and it definitely paid off, because when I came back from there, I did like a hotel entertainment course. That was something on my bucket list. And I remember that it was somewhere there. Whenever I was studying for final exams, I saw the advert on the internet, and I thought, this sounds like such a cool job. Because, you go to hotels and you see all these people dancing Zumba, like leading the classes, doing volleyball, like for tourists. And I thought,
I always see them and I'm like, that looks amazing.
this is, I thought so as well. So I thought, if I ever have time, because I never believed in myself that I could do something different than just going and studying what my family wanted me to do. If I ever had time, I will do it. And I did that. I did the course, and that was only like a weekend course. And after that weekend, I was actually selected to follow up on the course to go for another week in Greece for like a full course of, hotel entertainments. We call it animator.
Okay.
But I think animator in English means something different.
Something different, yeah.
Exactly. So after that, I came back from Spain and I went to Greece for a whole week of the course. And on that course, it was basically the biggest fun, one of the funniest weeks in my life. I would recommend it to anybody, because you meet like-minded people, and like everybody's from different background. There were people that studied engineering, there were people that never studied. They were people from all different backgrounds, but we met there together just to entertain people. How cool it was.
That sounds amazing.
And it was my inner child was
I'm really
satisfied.
jealous in a strange way, because obviously you were going through a lot of difficult times.
It wasn't easy,
Yeah.
but especially when I said about this idea to my family, not that I was relying on their opinion, but obviously this was not accepted widely. So I was just...
So actually, I was going to ask, like, you said that you just booked a ticket on the 1st of January and just left. Did you tell anybody that you were leaving, or did you leave and then you were like, hey, I'm in Spain right now?
No, I told everybody that I left, that I was about to leave. So there were a couple of days of like, oh, by the way, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a good response for that,
Of course,
obviously.
yeah.
But
So now you're doing a hotel entertainer
only
person.
course. And
Only the course, yeah, sorry.
And that's what I was mentioning, the Spanish language, the fact that I just love the fact that some people, the psychology, the neuroscience tells us that, hey, there are ways to learn languages faster than studying English for 7, 8, 10 years at school, because children do that as well. And because I spent so much time and put so much effort into Spanish, I remember that on the recruitment day, after like the whole week in Greece, I had to go for the interview, because from that course, you were not provided with the job. You could get a job, but you still needed to do interview because you were observed all the time. So I went there and the manager said, so, well, you said you want to work in Spain, but for that you need to speak Spanish. Bear in mind, it was only like 4 months after, like starting from point zero of Spanish.
Yeah.
So you need to demonstrate your skills. You have this activity, invite people and tell them what's going on your activity. And I remember I started speaking, they all looked at me and they were like, okay, you go into Spain. For me, that was the moment, especially that was so like strange, because I remember there was another girl there that was studying Spanish and she didn't get a job in Spain.
Yeah.
So for me, that moment was like, wow, I think it all makes sense right now.
It might not be Spanish, it might be your personality, right? Obviously you need some Spanish, but that girl might have had more Spanish than you, but maybe not the other stuff.
At that point, they were testing language.
Okay, all right, okay, fair enough.
So obviously, so I was supposed to go to Spain. However, I had a very cheeky idea, because they all knew that I started learning Spanish only a couple of months before. And I said, look, I have learned Spanish within a couple of months. We still have 2 months before the season, 2 or 1 month before the season. I want to go to Italy because I have never been to Italy and I'm sure I can learn it. I was very confident, probably too confident. So they were like, okay, yeah, we trust you, you go. So I went to Italy. I had a wonderful time in Italy, working as a hotel entertainer. This was one of the funniest jobs you can potentially do. But I made the biggest mistake of any beginner learner is that you don't learn two similar languages at level A1, B1, right? Because you're just going to start mixing. And that's what's happened. I tried to learn Italian and I started mixing. Then it just turned out that nobody could understand Italian because there was no Italian in Italian. So obviously, where I worked in southern Italy, they don't really speak that much English. So I was just trying my best with Spanish because, I just mixed both and I just didn't manage. So I failed in some ways, but on the other hand, at least I went to Italy because I wanted to go to Italy. So I worked for a couple of months there, and hence that's why I love organizing things like Christmas party or recently the wedding, because, for me, standing in front of the people, leading some kind of activities, dances, talking to people is just cool.
Oh, okay.
Really cool.
Well, that skill will come in handy later on in your career.
Hopefully.
Yeah, in a different way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, but somebody very wise told me that this job you will put always on your CV because that kind of job gives you all different skills. And I wish my parents ever understood that because they never did. They were very against that. And for my family, it was very much like, why are you not going to university? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You don't want to get a normal job. Like, I am very interested in science, and my deep desire is just to work in this, in science. However, I think if you do only one thing all your life, you're missing out on so many other things.
Yeah. Sounds like they've got quite a traditional view of how to approach careers. I mean, my parents were the same. So
you can't blame them for them because they don't know any different. But going to the university right now, so obviously the journey in Italy didn't last all my life, and I think one season of working like that is enough because you work pretty much all day. You don't really sleep much, and you are there for your tourists.
Is that because you're also partying overnight?
That's another thing. Nobody should hear about that, but yes.
What happens in Italy stays in Italy.
Yes, yes. Well, I was leading baby dances for kids mainly,
right.
But obviously after 10, 11, midnight whatsoever, kids were in bed. So that was the only time for basically ourselves if we wanted to do something nice. So yes, all these younger crazy years. Yeah. Anyways, so after that, obviously I thought, okay, I had enough. I really want to go and study. I need mental stimulation. I had enough of just partying. Honestly, it was an amazing time. I can't describe it.
Sounds like you want to go back.
Well. So I came back to university. So I knew that I had nothing to look for in Poland. And I applied again for universities in the UK. And I had nobody in the UK. So for me, looking at the map, I was like, okay, which university to choose this time? I went for a very different university than I thought in the beginning, the year before. I went to Worcester. One of the reasons behind was that I actually went to study psychology and nutrition because I thought that's going to be a cool combination. And
after you studied some languages, you thought psychology sounds cool.
Yeah, I thought so. But I made a massive mistake because I didn't enjoy it at all. And the first month when I was presented with the content for the whole year, I thought, no, I can't handle studying psychology. I just can't. I love it to bits because it's very important, but I just can't. So I needed science. No, psychology is also science for many people, but I needed molecular biology related thing.
Yeah.
So after a month, I think, I went to my course leader and I said, I actually don't enjoy that. Can I change into biochemistry? Because looking at the modules, looking what they were doing, I really loved the content. This was so cool. All the lab work, all the molecular biology, pharmacology. I loved that. So I went and changed. It was very easy after such a short time.
Sorry, just interjecting again. At any stage during these changes, you've gone through a lot. Were you ever thinking about the bigger picture, or was it always just this sounds fun, I just want to do that?
Deep inside, I know I should have thought about the bigger picture.
I don't think so. I never did that.
Okay, so that's very comforting. Because deep inside, I knew I loved teaching, even though I never did a lecturing at that point. I loved what my lecturers were doing. And also, I loved my in secondary school, I had wonderful biology teacher, which I always will refer to him that my biggest inspiration, because he was just the funniest teacher you could have. But because he was so funny, he made it so memorable to the point that whenever I go back to my country, I need to somehow find him and just at least say massive thank you after so many years.
That's really interesting, because for me, it's also my biology teacher.
There we go. Yeah.
And he was also hilarious. He was hilarious.
So this just highlights the importance of teachers, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And probably that's why you also want to give back.
Yeah.
Hence you are an academic lecturer.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. And I thought I wanted to be a lecturer at that point, first year of my degree. But deep inside, I thought, you are not good enough. And this is the voice that's been with me all my life. Again, knowing from psychology, this is not your voice. It's usually the voice of people around you that keep telling you that you're not good enough. So I changed into biochemistry and I loved it. But obviously COVID happened at some point. So like the lab work, I didn't have as much as I wanted to.
Because of COVID.
Yes, so the labs were closed and so on. I still try to spend as much time in the lab during my final year project, but at the same time, it was still very, very difficult for us. And this was not the end of changing actually my degrees, because as the time went on...
Why am I not surprised?
Yes, like very indecisive.
I would like to say very, not indecisive, but very adventurous.
Adventurous, call it. However, I know that my family didn't even want to like interfere with my plans, because they were just like completely helpless about me and hopeless as well. However, very happy I went to university. So, because obviously not going into university straight away is a crime apparently. So because I met quite a few people that inspired me on the way, and I remember one of them was my lecturer, actually, that was also doing a lot of nutrition and neuroscience. I got really interested in neuroscience. And I think this was linked to the fact that I loved psychology, linguistics, and so on, to the point that I thought, okay, I mastered English. I don't feel that it brings me any challenges anymore. I'd like to study my master's, because I really wanted to do master, in a foreign country with a different language and in a different language. So
a language very different from Spanish or Italian or English.
The thing is that I thought of doing it in Mexico.
Oh, okay, so Spanish.
Wonderful. Obviously, that was a COVID time, but I found this wonderful course that I really wanted to do in Mexico. Like, bear in mind, I don't know, when I think about it right now, to me that sounds like a ridiculous idea. But I was convinced I would do that. Okay. Anyways, let a little girl dream. So I went to my lecturers and I said, okay, for this course, I want to do this master's. They require me to pass neuroscience module. My biochemistry doesn't have neuroscience. Can I take up this extra module? And they were like, well, you are on your second year. By the end of the second year, you can't take an extra module. We would need to change a whole degree. And I'm like, well, will it cost me anything? And they were like, well, you would just need to catch up with a couple of modules, which means extra work. But no, you can, because you still haven't finished the second year. You still have a few months. So obviously, I did change my degree into human biology, just because I wanted to have neuroscience module, which would help me to get to Mexico. University.
Yeah.
What a stupid idea.
I don't think so.
Just a very brave one. So obviously I started studying neurophysiology. I changed my course again and I loved it so much. I did love it so much, to the point that when I was applying for my master's, I applied for 2. One was neuropharmacology, because I love molecular biology, and the other one was cognitive neuroscience. And the university, that was at the University of Reading, they do a lot of research on linguistics.
Okay.
So I thought...
See, your journey makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect sense, because you're interested in languages, which then directed you towards like a psychology thing, because you wanted to understand that, right? And then previously, you were already interested in biology. So you then did the biology to understand the neuro bit of the languages. Do you know what I mean? It makes perfect sense to me.
Yes, but... I don't understand, for instance, certain people when they say they don't have any interest, they don't know what to do in life. Yeah. Because at that point when I was finishing my undergrad, I had too many interests. And
you and I are similar in that. I'm the exact same.
That's where we understand each other very well. So my forever love was a sport. And I still love nutrition because I was really interested in like nutrition, like the gut microbiome, how it impacts your health. I just love it. The sport aspect as well. I was always just, find me running somewhere in a forest, probably on a weekend, not at home. That was usually the case. So obviously like the aspect of sport nutrition, like the biology plus linguistic, however molecular biology, was very difficult to combine all together. So when I was sending email to Reading University saying no, because I picked in the end neuropharmacology, I was nearly crying because I thought, can I do both? Can I do it one after another? You need to choose sometimes. So I did my master's in neuropharmacology, which I've learned probably quite a lot as well. However, you may think how I ended up doing the degree I'm doing right now, which is quite different from what my master's was in.
Yeah. So hang on, let's catch up a second. So you did your degree in Leicester, was that right?
Undergrad was Worcester.
Worcester, yeah. Worcester. And then you did a master's in neuropharmacology in Nottingham.
Yes.
And then now we come on to the present day. So how did you go from your master's to where you are
PhD.
now?
Yes.
Tell us about the thought process as well as the actual process.
Okay. So my life story is always very complicated. So I have quite a few family members that passed away from heart diseases. And one of them was my dad, which passed away when I was doing my degree. And it was coronary heart disease mainly. And it caused me such a big shock that I just like for a very, very long time, which people don't really talk about that, but I think it is a very, very important to say that like we will lose people at some point.
Yeah.
And I felt very isolated at that point because people just didn't understand me at all.
Yeah.
But I remember that when it happened, it took me several months to like get back on track, even though the relationships in the family weren't great. But I think you learn a vital thing from there.
Yeah.
That all the arguments and so on, it just doesn't matter in the end, because we're not gonna be in this world forever. So my highlight, like just except from all the whole podcast topic, is that always appreciate the person next to you because you don't know how much time you have with them. But that's just a detour from the conversation. So because my dad, he was diagnosed with it when I was, I think, 4 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay, so very
that was a very
on.
long time ago. And I think he had a heart attack then, and he ended up in a hospital having a surgery. He nearly died then when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And
that must have been very traumatic.
Yeah, I remember that, and that's why I understand where a lot of my fears come from like losing somebody. But I remember he came back and he literally told us, little kids, the doctors gave me maximum 5 years of life.
Wow.
And I was, as a little girl, I remember that, like, what? Like, you just never say that to your kids. Just don't. But I remember that for my dad, it was more, they said 5 years. Hold my beer, I will show you. And
sounds like you.
Pretty much. In some ways. So I remember that at that point, we never had like unhealthy diet at home, but there were occasionally some crisps, fizzy drinks, whatsoever, which there weren't many. But at that point, when he came back from hospital, he just literally just made a decision of, we're not getting that. We having a healthy lifestyle. We exercising. Well, he was mainly talking about himself. And we walking, we exercising, we eating clean, just to see what happens. And I was just observing him as a little kid. Like, he was going cycling. Like, he couldn't do obviously too much of exercises, right? Because in this state, you need to be very careful. But he was still doing enough. He was still like eating healthy. He was still very careful, and he was trying not to stress. And I think that's where this chilled mindset comes from, like in me in many ways as well, that like whatever happens, whatever.
You can only do your best.
Yeah. You can't stress too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's inevitable, but you can't stress too much because stress will kill you. And I remember I saw that as a little kid. And, he lived up until I was 21. So quite a few years longer than doctors told him.
He did show them.
He did show them. Doctors were like, wow, very surprised, but he did show them. And I know that it was because of exercises, healthy eating, a lot of other things he was doing as well. So I think this was one of the biggest breakthroughs in my life that obviously made me think what I want to do later on in my life. But I thought that when I was doing all these personal development things, what is your vision and mission, why you are here in this world, what you want to do, what you want to bring to this world. I always thought, well, maybe I can try to help people that are in the same situation. Because to me, like, the family is everything. Like, as much as obviously my family where I come from is a complicated story. However, I value people a lot, and I think that if it's a matter of spending extra 5 years with somebody, it is really worth it. So when I finished my master's, I started applying for PhDs because I thought I want to be a lecturer. I will tell all these kids how important it is to exercise. My PhD is basically about my life story, however funny it sounds. But yeah, it is very similar to what basically happened in my family. And I thought, okay, this is it.
Yeah. So that's one place where you and I are very different, because my research and my career has nothing to do with my life story.
I remember you said that, and I'm just always very impressed because it's just, in some ways it's very good because this shows that you have extra motivation and interest.
I don't think it shows anything like that. We're just different people. You know what I mean?
Of course, we are different people, but at the same time, science is difficult, and nowadays, like, many people don't want to do difficult things. So the fact that you are doing it, you are interested in it, it shows a lot.
Maybe,
It does.
maybe.
So I don't think that there is a better or wrong way of doing things. I just think, again, as you said, everybody's different, and it's interesting to see where the people's motivation come from.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I ended up on my PhD.
And so that's how you chose your actual project. So do you want to tell us a little bit, whatever you can, about what your project is? And
yes, looking at the testosterone, and I'm looking at exercises in men's health, in particular cardiovascular health. So yeah, we obviously know that men die earlier than women, which can be from many reasons. And one of them is, as I saw in my family, the fact that men just don't feel like going to the doctor, which is a little bit silly.
Yeah,
but
I had that problem.
Well, maybe after this podcast you'll change your mind, because it is really important, the early diagnosis and so on. And many other reasons on molecular level that are just so interesting. And as much as I love women's health science, because it's just super interesting, especially if I'm a woman, and I can see a missing link between many stories in women's health. But I think I want my man, my husband, to live as long as possible, right? And I want my family also members to live as long as possible in a good health. So I think that's the whole motivation for that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was just thinking about everything you've said up until now. Do you think that your personality of somebody who is very headstrong, well, not that you know what you want to do in the future, but you know what you want to do now, this is something that I want to do now. Do you think there is a connection between that, the adventurous side that you are, and the scientist that you are becoming? Do you think it's important to, not necessarily even important, but do you think there's a connection between your personality and your science?
Potentially, and I'll tell you actually why, because I had a reflection on that in the past. I think the moment that you lose somebody and you have a bit of a trauma that you're not going to live forever, that people around you are not going to live forever, that you're going to be here only for, call it, a short time.
Yeah.
You want to extract as much as you can from life. And when I think about it, how much time it took me to overcome all the post-traumas, all the times people told me I'm not good enough, all the times I still think I'm still stressed, in certain way, about doing things because I'm just fearful. But you just take the stress and you just take these worries, you put them on the side and say I don't have time to do to stress about that. You just go for it.
Yeah.
The more you stress, the less time you're gonna have to enjoy it. So I think that this comes from the fact that, we're not gonna live forever, and you're not gonna be 27 forever. So I think I just want to do things here and now, and extract as much from life, travel as much as possible, obviously within the limits, because there are limits when you work, when you do PhD. Meet people and just explore life, explore and enjoy it, because it's just wonderful. There are so many things to do here, so many things to learn, so many people to talk to that have interesting stories, that so many people you can help as well, that when you think about the limited time you have, it makes you do things right now.
Yeah, that sounds really...
With science as well, I remember my first year, I was just obviously like learning certain techniques, but I remember that I was again stressed that something was going wrong on or so on. But then you think about it, I wasted so much time or maybe I will do it tomorrow because I don't feel good enough today. Just no. I think one of my goals for definitely this year is just to go for it. And yeah,
I think your story is definitely very inspiring, particularly for young students, because as you mentioned, people do have doubts, which is just human. We all have doubts.
Yeah.
I have doubts, you have doubts, we all have doubts every day, and there is really no overcoming them. There's just trying to do better every day, just going for it, and then something good comes out of it, and that makes you feel maybe a little bit more confident. You feel like every time you achieve something, you feel like, I've got a bit more confidence now.
Definitely. And the biggest thing from that is just relieving myself from the fact that, I was worried what my family will think about me for a very long time. And the moment you're like, let it go. I still care about people's opinions because we are just humans. But if I do something silly in the lab or outside of the lab, they will think about it for a short time, but guess what? They'll forget.
They'll move on.
They will forget.
Yeah.
And understanding that is a game changer. Because everybody, I'm sure you did ask this one stupid question that probably people laughed at in the past. Like I did so many of them, and I still ask so many stupid questions.
I don't believe in stupid questions. I think stupid questions are great questions because it makes other people feel more confident about themselves. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, lovely. So you see a lot of benefits. So I think that I do still care a lot, and I know that a lot of the things that I'm doing are with the help of others. Like I can't even explain how much I'm grateful for all the people that were there on the way to help, learn and teach me in the lab certain thing. Or like with academic writing, like when somebody just looks at it and says, this is absolutely rubbish, I appreciate it so much because this means that I can move on, move on. And if you don't get this feedback, or if you don't mess up with the lab experiment properly, you're not going to learn.
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually really say to students all the time. I don't know if they understand it. Maybe saying it on the podcast helps more. But in my life, I have found that I have learned the most from mistakes or from getting feedback, which I found quite difficult to take.
Yes.
And nowadays, I feel like I sometimes make mistakes on purpose so that I can get some feedback that's helpful.
But that's good.
So don't be afraid of making a mistake. That's how you learn. You got to go for it.
100% agree with it. Mistakes, yours or somebody else's, are the best.
As long as it doesn't kill you.
No.
Or injure you very severely.
Exactly.
It's a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Excellent. Going on for quite a bit now, but let's do a little bit of looking forward, and then we can maybe finish. So, where do you think you're going next? I mean, Mexico didn't happen, unfortunately. Not yet. But where do you think you're going next in terms of your career, in terms of your life? I mean, you told me you just got married, so that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that's one place where you've gone, I guess. So where does it take next? Life, career, ideas?
Yeah. Obviously, the plans change, but I think in the past when I was talking about my undergrad, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted. And even if I thought about something, I wasn't brave enough to voice it. But right now, I'm 100% sure about certain things. What we want as a like couple right now. We really want, after my PhD, because it didn't work out as like a trip during, we want to go to New Zealand and do a little bit of traveling in that area, see the world. Before anything else like serious happens, I just want to go and see certain places, just meet certain people. I always said that I wanted to, I don't know why, I have this deep desire after all this writing, research, to like work for a couple of weeks and pick up avocados. I really don't know why. But
Do you like avocados?
I love avocados. Okay. I know there is a bit of like, a controversy with them, but I thought like do some bits with avocados and then like do some volunteering with animals. Because obviously, like, for a very long time, as you may know, we've been doing with my husband, right? House sitting. So we looked after people's animals when they were away. And
so your other side hobby, fun thing to do.
I love it. Like, if we had time, we could carry on right now. But obviously, we have limited time with the PhD, with the work. Like, we stopped doing it right now, but we definitely would like to go into like Asia, South America, just to like do a bit of house sitting and look after animals. So definitely a couple of months of that. And later on, obviously, I can't, as I have proven, I can't live without science. So I would love to do either postdoc. We will see what happens. But I always thought I want to go to academia, which I still think I want. However, I started exploring other options, which I didn't know about. So there are a couple of jobs that I think would be very interesting for a scientist, for a young scientist, that involve also a lot of science communication. So yes, so we will see. But definitely, I don't want to say anything that may be misunderstood, but I think the time in the UK is tricky for me because I've lived in the UK for so long that it's just too familiar.
Yeah,
like,
you need to change. You've got itchy feet.
Exactly. I know in New Zealand they speak English as well, so obviously I appreciate that. But my deep desire is to live in Switzerland one day because I love Switzerland. There are mountains there. So yeah, we will see what happens. But this is on my, little list of
Do you know, recently I was listening to a podcast of a person who was interested in sharks, and they were just talking to somebody about sharks, and then that person happened to know a shark biologist who then got introduced to her. And then she went on a trip to go look at sharks on the sea with them. And from there they became a marine biologist. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I can totally see you doing something sciencey that comes out of your avocado farm.
Maybe
2 weeks of avocado farm placement.
Like, imagine that. I mean, I don't mind. I don't know what life is going to bring, but I know that the science is the answer.
I love that attitude that you have. I mean, if you leave, I'm obviously going to be sad because who am I going to do podcast with?
Well, we're going to do it online.
But also, I think you're the kind of person that needs to fly.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Which I wish
Listeners.
everybody to find a person that's going to be as crazy, or as not crazy, because everybody's different as them. Because whenever I talk about Mexico, my husband is just looking at me. Okay. We're going to make it work.
Your husband sounds like an amazing person. I know I've met him very briefly, but I think I need to spend a bit more
time
with
really cool.
him. Yeah.
He's really cool. Well, so is your wife. I need to meet her.
You haven't met her yet. Yeah.
But the fact that she's a surgeon, maybe one day she'll join us.
Maybe we can have her perspective on her career, because she's also got a very interesting story, I think.
There we go. Yeah. Another episode then.
Yeah. Excellent. And last question, maybe a short one. If science didn't exist, what do you think you'd be doing instead? Don't say medicine, that's still science.
No, I know. I would be probably working either with animals, but then it's a science, or I would be working in a gym. I would be, I know, I'm really into like long distance running. So I thought, I even looked at that quite a few months ago, just out of interest, the courses, how to become a running trainer. Yeah. Mountain guide, things like that. Oh, this would be wonderful, mountain guide. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Right. On that note, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much.
And we will talk to you soon in our next episode, and we're going to keep that a secret for now.
Yes. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.